Hey guys, my name is Ebube. I coach people on how to get graduate school funding, especially in the United States. And so today we're going to be talking about graduate school CV and resume. I added resume to this conversation because a lot of people confuse what exactly they should submit when it comes to graduate school. When it comes to graduate school, this is one of the things that you should keep in mind. You are not submitting for a job application like in the corporate world. So even though you are submitting things to show them some of the experiences you have had, you are actually thinking about this academically. I already have a full video talking about the formats and some of the headings you should have, but today we're just going to quickly talk about why your CV is important. So for this video, scratch resume. What you are being asked for is CV. So even if you open a university portal and you see resume, please keep in mind that it is CV. By CV, I mean academic CV, curriculum vitae, incorporating everything that you have done academically that is also related to the program that you want to apply. So with this in mind, let's talk about why the CV is important. The CV is actually very important because it gives the graduate committee an idea of some of the things that you have actually done in the past. It also gives them an idea that you have some things that have gone on for you, and that where you are right now, you need to progress on to where you want to be. For some people, you may have felt like you have done jobs that are kind of different from the program you want to go to, or probably after graduating from undergraduate program, you went in to do other things or businesses that are not necessarily inclined. One of the things that I would say to boost your CV is volunteering experience. So even though you have done jobs that are not necessarily what you want to do, volunteering helps to boost you. You can look for organizations that are doing some of those things that you want to do now and volunteer with them for a long time or a short period of time, depending on your target for when you want to apply to graduate school. By the time you have this, you can include it in your CV as part of your volunteering experience, and the truth is it counts for your work. Another thing that can help boost your CV is picking out the transferable skills from these job experiences that you had done before that seemingly are not related, but these transferable skills can be related to what you've done. So for example, you want to do something that is full tech, but some of your experiences were in teaching. You could actually take that as your teaching experience, and some of the transferable skills from it would be that you can communicate science, you can teach science, you can talk about these things, you can teach people how to code, or you can teach people how to work in the lab. It is not necessarily what that program is about or what your research is about, but the skill would help. What are some of the things that you need to keep in mind? Some of the things that you need to keep in mind is that your CV should be tailored to the particular program that you're applying to. Don't submit a scattered CV. So if possible, before you submit your CV, have someone go through it with you, or pay for professional services so that you are sure that your CV is aligned to the program that you're going for. Also align your CV to the research that you are going for or the research interest that you are proposing to the school. The graduate school wants to see students who are a great fit for the program, who are enthusiastic about the program, who have had some things that they have done. It may not, funny thing is that your CV is not necessarily meant to show that you have done it all. No, because that's the purpose of graduate school, to teach you further. But your CV is just to show that you already are on this part. It doesn't have to be too thick, it doesn't have to be too ambiguous, it just has to be relevant. Some of the things that you should put in your CV, like I said, I already have a full video on this, but some of the things you should put in your CV are your contact details. Not your age, your gender, what you need is your contact details. So by contact details, I mean your full name. So this is going to come as your heading. So please find that video that I made on CV, and you would literally see the format with the examples on how to write it. It is not confusing, it is very clear. But your contact details should be your heading, your name, your email address, probably your phone number or your LinkedIn address if you have any, and then you can also add something like your country. For me, I like to add Nigeria. I would say it's dicey, so you need to be careful if you should add country or you shouldn't add country. Another thing is your education. So the format for resume is usually very different, because for resume you have to write a summary, you have to then talk about your work experience. But for the academic CV, your format is clearly different. It has to start with your contact details being your heading, and then you go on to tell them about your education. So your education, you're telling them the previous educations you have, your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, depending on what you've already had. And then the next thing you're about to tell them is your research experience, your teaching experience, and your work experience. So you find out that this formatting is quite different from resume, and I would like you to keep that in mind. So your research experience can be something as little as the projects that you did in your undergraduate. That can be your research experience. Your teaching experience can be something as little as you did a group teaching of about 20 people, 10 people, whatever. For me, my teaching experience, I had a formal teaching experience in secondary school, but then I also had a teaching experience in my undergraduate where I would teach those who are sets below me on particular topic or something. So I put that as my teaching experience. And then finally, your work experience. So your work experience would then be those jobs that you think are relevant or not relevant to your program. But remember, like I said, what we are looking out here for at this point, if you feel that this job is irrelevant, is the transferable skills that will be useful for graduate school. After that, if you have any publication, you can go ahead to add that. The publication may not be anything sophisticated, but it could be something as simple as your undergraduate project. Remember that you must have written something in on your undergraduate. The next would be your awards and honors. If you have any, you can include that. So if you graduated and you received some awards after graduating, or along the line in your career you somehow got some awards and you think are relevant, you can add that. Or certifications, you can actually add that at that point. Professional training and certification. So at this point, you talk about some of the other things you've done. So for people who have taken certifications for that are in line with the program that they are going for. I finished as a librarian, and then I went for certification as a certified librarian of Nigeria. So definitely that's going to be under that session. I also had trainings in some library association programs in Nigeria, and so I also put that there because I had some certifications to that. Another thing is your professional affiliation. Some of these sessions are not compulsory, so if you do not have them, do not feel the pressure to put them in or to lie about it. Okay, so by professional affiliation, I mean associations that you have joined. So if you're like in the biochemistry department, you could have Biochemistry Association of Nigeria, or if you are like me, we have the Nigerian Library Association. So some of these associations, you could write them. It could be national, it could be international. So as long as you are a member or you were once a member, you can include that in there. Then your volunteering experience or your extracurricular activities, whatever else that you have done that you think is relevant. You know, it doesn't have to be for a long time. It could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, it could even be some initiatives that you did on your own, like people who think that they are self-employed or they've done some things that are relevant, but it's not necessarily that they did it under organizations, they just did it with themselves or for themselves. You can include that there because then it shows that you have the initiatives to do some of these things. And then talk about your leadership experiences. What are the things you've done in your undergraduate years? Did you take up some positions? Even after graduating, did you take up some positions? Briefly write it there. And finally, you can end with your skills, technical skills, soft skills, all of those skills that you think are relevant. Do not feel the pressure for your academic CV to be too thick, too occupied. If you have 2 pages, that is fine. If you have 3 pages, that is fine. The truth is that academic CV usually, especially for the United States, I need to give this as a disclaimer, it should at least be comprehensive, but you should not feel the need to add anything that is irrelevant when you shouldn't write it. So be very careful how you're framing it. Best thing, if you can afford paying for a professional to write some of these things for you, then please by all means go ahead and get one to write it for you. I hope to see you in another video. Bye.